How much land does a man need? That was the name of an 1886 fable by the 19th century Russian author Leo Tolstoy. And the fable concerns a peasant who acquires some land, and then a bit more, and then a bit more, and is never satisfied with what he's got. The peasant hears that there's a primitive tribe who has thousands of acres of land and apparently lets it go for a fraction of the market rate. The tribal chief explains the land costs 1,000 rubles a day. 1,000 rubles a day. How does that work? You pay your 1,000 rubles and then you have a day to walk around as much land as you can. And you dig a hole every 100 yards or so, keep digging, and get back to where you started before sunset, and everything you have walked around is yours. The peasant can't wait to get started. Rising early the next morning, meets the tribal chief at the top of the hill, where he can survey all the land ahead of him, and it's beautiful, glistening virgin soil, as flat as the palm of your hand, as black as a poppy seed. Beautiful soil. On your marks, get set, go, and off he runs down the hill. The sun's rays just break over the hill. He walks 1,000 yards or so, stops, digs a hole, and keeps going. Another 1,000 yards, digs a hole, keeps going. The peasant looks back. He can see the hill. He can see people on the top of the hill. I'll do a few more miles. He keeps running. Dig. The holes, keeps going. It's getting hot. He thinks he probably should start to turn left, so he cuts go left, and he trudges along. He's feeling really hot. He looks up at the sun. It's about noon. The sun is high in the sky. Very, very hot, but he daren't sit down and rest because he wants to get as much land as he can. He takes off layer after layer after layer, sweat running into his eyes. He presses on, keep going, just an hour to suffer, a lifetime to live. He looks back at the hill, and the heat makes the hill hazy. It's a bit quivery. Oh no, he thinks, I've gone too far. I'll make the next line a bit shorter. So he turns left again, keeps digging. And he looks at the sun. It's halfway down to the horizon. He's still about 10 miles from the goal. What am I going to do? He's exhausted. But he's got to press on. He turns around the corner, pushes on towards the hill. He longs for rest. And the sun is up there. It's going down. The sun waits for no man, writes Tolstoy. And the peasant looks up at the hill, and the sun goes down, and then he collapses to his feet, off his feet, his greed, his foolishness. He's bitten off far more than he can chew. He drops to the ground and he's devastated. Haven't got back in time. Then he hears cheers. And oh no, the tribe and the people around the tribal chief are laughing at him for being so greedy. But as he sat and looked up and he heard the cheers getting louder and louder, he suddenly realized it's people on the top of the hill, and the sun has set where he is, but at the top of the hill, the sun hasn't yet set. It's different due to the perspective. There's still time. So the peasant rises in himself, a bit more energy. I'm going to run, and runs up the hill, the sound of cheering. They're not laughing at him. They're urging him on. Press on. He does a massive sprint, run up the hill. The final rays of sunlight dip down over behind the hill. He gets the chief and his legs give way. He drops to the ground. And the crowd lets out a mighty cheer. You've made it. The tribal chief nodded. The man has gained much land. But the peasant's body lies cold on the ground, dead. The servant of the peasant picks up a spade, digs a hole in the ground long enough for the peasant to lie in, and buries him on the spot. How much land does a man need? 6 foot from head to toe. Nothing like a happy story to get the juices flowing. Death, greed on a wet Tuesday evening. Well, welcome back to Living Stories, these evening events. We're looking at some of the most famous stories ever told by Jesus Christ. Last night, a story of compassion. Tonight, a story of ambition. And could there be a more relevant topic than the one we're thinking about tonight? In Oxford, this global centre of high ambition, dreams of academic success and sporting success and professional success, with its hamster in a wheel life for all of us to enjoy or endure, as the case may be. Now, the base of our study is going to be the story that was just read out to us by Tanya, and it's on page 36 of these pink books. If you've closed your books, please open them up again. It's Luke chapter 12, verses 13 to 21. And these little books are Luke's Gospels, which were carefully researched, eyewitness-based biographies of Jesus Christ. I said last night, I'll say it again, if you don't have a copy, you can take it and read it when you head. So this is a gift from the OICCU to you to have a look at. We're going to look at this story, and we're going to try and draw some lessons for us all today from what we read. And then there'll be a chance to have a bit of a discussion in your tables, and apparently no one can leave until all the pizza's gone. Is that right, Josh? So we've got to just go deep, go big. Yesterday we saw that Jesus is on a journey. He's traveling south from his home area, Galilee, around Lake Galilee in the north, and he's traveling south down to Jerusalem, where eventually he's going to die on the cross. And he's saying some pretty controversial things on the journey. He's having crowds following him. He's healing the sick. And a voice calls out from amongst the masses as he walks down. You'll see someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Now, this is the second night running where the concept of inheritance has come up. We saw that last night. It's very striking, I think, with Jesus' stories. Often he includes the language of money in his stories because he knows that how we think about money is often how we think about life. And so we're going to think about this story, but it does have application way more than just the money realm. This is what Jesus responds in little number 14. Top of the page. "Man, who appointed who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in an abundance of his possessions." Jesus is saying life is more than the sum total of your possessions. It's much more than what you achieve in life, what you get in life, what final exam result you get, how high you jump from, or how well you jump, or what job you get, etc., etc. If your ambition, if your race that you're running in your life and the sights in life that you set to get that first, to pass a degree, to get the job, to get on the master's course, to get that relationship, to get that house, to get up the ladder, to burn the candle both ends, even in the middle, if that is the sum total of your existence, then we've got a problem on our hands, says Jesus. Because life is more than that. That is not the sum total of life. And he tells a story to make it clear. He says two things plus a little bit more to this voice in the crowd. And that's what we're going to look at. Two things and a little bit more, a third, smaller point. But here's the two things. First thing he's going to say to us, to the voice among the masses, in the race of life, you can run. Yeah, you can run. It's the allure of ambition. First lesson. Jesus' story, the man is running hard, isn't he? Running hard. He's a keen farmer. He has had a bumper crop. It would have taken sweat and sleepless nights to get that, aching muscles to strike it big at harvest time, all-nighters. The elbow grease is paid off. The man has bet big, he's won big. He's now driving around in his Aston Martin DB6, the Daniel Craig suit. He is loving life, and he is not content. What should I do? I've run out of barn space to keep all my grain in. I need more room. The 3-bedroom semi-bachelor pad with full connected technology is not good enough. The 4K TV surround sound isn't big enough to cope with all my winnings. I need more. I've got to spend money to make money. Get someone with a drive and for the boat and for the 4x4. And so Jesus says he tears up the deeds to his barn. He plans an upgrade, gets ready to kick back, eat, drink, and be merry. Which is a phrase in our modern day. It comes from the Bible. Eat, drink, and be merry. Jesus says this. Ambitions and desires have the habit of consuming us, don't they? So easy to be consumed by ambition and by desire. Who would say they don't know the experience of wanting to chase something down so hard, so passionately, that we, if we're not careful, run over anything or anyone en route for it? Relationships go out the way. Other responsibilities go out the way because we've got our eyes set on that single goal. We know what it's like to run hard after our dreams, whether it's working late into the night, all the way into the morning to hit that deadline, pulling all-nighters in the library, or furiously applying for every graduate job you possibly can, never resting until you finally get a reply, or spending every moment of the vacation with a job, earning money as much as you can so that you can spend it and go and explore the world and enjoy your freedoms while you're a student. And yes, sure, we may the relationships, they may suffer in the process. We may hurt someone nearby, but we're going to keep on running. We're going to keep on running and pursuing our dreams and our aims. This is human nature, says Jesus. You can run. That's his first word to the voice in the masses. We all identify with that, don't we? We can run. You can run. It's the allure of ambition. Everyone runs. Point one, you can run, but you can't hide. That's the second point that Jesus has to say. You can't hide. That's the destiny of ambition. You can run, but you can't hide. That's Jesus' second point. We last left the man in the story with his feet on his desk. His iPad is in one hand, the glass of red wine in the other. Or more accurately, look down in verse 19. I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. Easy life. Run hard, push it hard, chase your dreams, pursue as much as you can, live it up, ambition, 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 and God's got other ideas. Look in verse 20. God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you, and then who will get what you've prepared for yourself? Boom. It's all about to come crashing down on this man. You can't run and run and run and chase ambitions forevermore. You can't. You can't ignore God, the God in the world he has made, and expect to get away with it. You won't be treated like a footnote or an irrelevance or a distraction from my main aim of pursuing what I'm trying to achieve. In the race of life, you can run, but you can't hide. It was so poignant in the Tolstoy story that halfway through the experience, the man is running around. He wants to stop. He kind of wants to stop, but he can't stop. He thinks he's free, but he isn't really free. He's a slave. He has to keep going, and it's killing him. That is, you see, one of the biggest problems with running hard after our ambitions. We never arrive. We never fully arrive. We just get more obsessed with the chase. And we find ourselves wanting more and more and more and still more. And it's never satisfying. That was so powerful, wasn't it, that Tanya said? It was only knowing Jesus that truly satisfied. Otherwise, you get it and you want more. You get it and you want more. Maybe it's some fancy new tech that you've been dreaming over, drooling over. You get it and then very quickly you think, this is rubbish. I want more. Or the dream relationship that you set your hearts on. And then you get there and then you think, maybe you're not as much as I thought you were, and I want someone who's funnier than you or fitter than you or more compatible with me. And then it's the career ladder, so consuming, where it seems the harder thing, the only thing harder than going up one more rung on the career ladder is just getting on in the first place. One of the most painful real-life illustrations of this has got to be the sad story of Matthew Perry, from the actor who starred as Chandler in Friends, who died in October last year. And this is what he wrote in his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. Let me quote. I found myself getting to my knees, closing my eyes and praying. I had never done this before. God, you can do whatever you want with me. Just please make me famous. 3 weeks later, I got cast in Friends. And God has certainly kept his side of the bargain. But the Almighty, being the Almighty, had not forgotten the first part of that prayer as well. Now, all these years later, I'm certain that I got famous so I would not waste my entire life trying to get famous. You have to get famous to know that it's not the answer. It was everything I thought I wanted. I was going to fill all the holes in my life with friends. The attention that I always felt had eluded me was about to fill every corner of my life, like a room illuminated by a flash of lightning. People were going to like me now. I was going to be enough. But would fame, that elusive lover, really fill all the holes I carried around with me? And then he honestly concludes, I'm constantly filled with a lurking loneliness, a yearning, clinging to the notion that something outside of me will fix me. But I had all that the outside had to offer. I couldn't believe what I was about to say, but I said it. I said, you know what? It doesn't do what we thought it would do. It doesn't fix anything. I think you actually have to have all your dreams come true to realize they're the wrong dreams. Powerful stuff. Now, I said that one of the biggest problems with running hard after ambitions in the race of life is that we can run, but we won't arrive because the destination just keeps disappearing and moving further and further back, and we just keep going. We can't stop. We chase down dreams. We never get there. We never look back. Never achieving the ultimate fulfillment, the satisfaction that we're craving, never filling the holes that we want to fill. We can run, we won't arrive. It's a big problem. It's not the biggest problem, actually, according to Jesus in our passage here. Not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that you can run, but you can't hide. Now, what do I mean by that? What is Jesus saying? That's what he's saying, what he is saying to this man in the story. Just like the man in Tolstoy's story, living for ambition, living for success and achievement will eventually catch up with you. And that's why Jesus says what he does in the story. Have a look down again in verse 20, little number 20 in our books. But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" How foolish we are to think that we can run our lives hard and fast and free and ignore God in the world he's made. To chase down our dreams, to never look back, but never to look up in the process. To act as functional atheists, which is what so many of us do naturally, acting as if God didn't exist or didn't matter. The fact is, some of us live pretty decent lives and are pretty proud of how we've lived. Others of us make a real mess of our lives and are pretty ashamed of how we live. It doesn't really matter. Human nature is to ignore God. The ambition crowding out any sense of consciousness of God or dependence on him. And Jesus says it's not on. It's not on. You live your life running after anything and everything, and you leave God in the rearview mirror. You push him out of the picture, then sooner or later he will go away. He will push you out of the picture, says Jesus. And to be pushed out of the picture from God is a most terrible thing. Again, look down, verse 20, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you." To be pushed out of the picture from God, it's a terrible thing, because literally everything good in this world, happiness and love and academic success and joy and food and sporting success and sex and relationships and all the things we pursue, they're all gifts from God, our Creator. And to be pushed out of the picture by God is to be without all of those good and wonderful things. No joy, no love, no rest, no refreshment, no friendship, no escape. Instead, to experience the pain and sadness and regret forevermore, says Jesus. Horrific consequence of living life without any reference to God whatsoever. "You fool," said Jesus. "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded of you." The allure of ambition, the destiny of ambition. You can run, but you can't hide. Our time is almost done, and then I've got some questions for you to have a go at talking about in your groups. Well, how does Jesus conclude the story? Amazingly, he doesn't conclude it with a 6-foot box like Tolstoy did. There's a bit more hope here with Jesus. Look down, little number 21. "This is how it will be with whoever stores things up for themselves, but is not rich towards God." So Jesus is saying to the voice in the crowd and to us all here today, there is an alternative to empty ambition. Get rich towards God. Get rich towards God, what we might call the ultimate ambition. Don't run after what does not satisfy. Get rich towards God instead. Invest in knowing God. Put all your eggs in knowing him, in his basket, so to speak, as the famous hymn that Christians love to sing. "Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart." You, God, be number one for me. And as our maker, he knows how we tick. He knows how it all should fit in place. But he goes in first. He knows how we tick. He knows what will ultimately satisfy us. And what will ultimately satisfy us is the incredible joy of knowing and loving and being known and being loved by the God who made us, the God of the universe, the God who is there. In him, our identity is secure. Our future is guaranteed. Now, they're massive claims, and I'm not expecting you to suddenly, if you came in as an unbeliever or an atheist or an agnostic, kind of swing around in the space of a 25-minute talk and become a believer. I don't expect that at all. We're all on a journey. Jesus is on a journey here, and I want you to continue journeying with Jesus, listening in to what he has to say. But do keep reading and do keep following, because where Jesus is going is ultimately down to Jerusalem, where he's going to die. And we read that towards the end of Luke's gospel. And on the cross, as he dies, he takes on himself our guilt, our blame for the way that we have run after everything and everyone other than him, pursuing them as if they're the number one, instead of pursuing God and looking to God as the number one, the most important piece in the jigsaw that has got to go in first and everything else fits in around him. So what does Jesus say? In the story of ambition, he says you can run the allure of ambition, but you can't hide. That's the tragic destiny of ambition apart from God. So get rich towards God. Have him as your ultimate ambition. Have getting to know him your ultimate aim. Even here while you're at university, there's no better time to do it. Now, much, much more could be said, and I'd love just to give you a couple of options here. We're going to have a discussion in our groups very soon. Later on, there's a chance for you to give some feedback, and there's an opportunity for you to say that you'd like to chat with one of the team. And there were plenty of CU members who'd love to talk with you. We've got a bunch of CU helpers who are part of churches and local ministries who are around this week who'd love to get together with you if you'd like to talk further. These kind of things never get worked out in one moment. They take a long time. But I'd love to encourage you to dig into this. Big claims have been said tonight. And you do yourself a favor by pushing into them and just exploring them and turning over as many stones as you can as you get to the bottom of this man, Jesus Christ. Well, thanks so much for listening. And we're going to hand over to, I think maybe Harley's going to explain what's happening next. Great, thanks.